Hey guys, welcome to another episode. Do you want to learn how to use Excel like a pro? In this video, I'm going to show you 15 great tips and tricks to help you get started. Hi, my name is Dobry, and in this video, I'm going to show you some great tips and tricks for beginners who want to learn how to use Excel. Whether you're new to Excel or you have been using it for a while, this will definitely help you work smarter and more efficiently. Before we get started, I want to just take a quick second to remind you that the Magnimetrics beta is still open. You can grab your free account on the first link in the description below. Try it, share your feedback. We love receiving feedback, and it really helps us build a better platform for all of us to use. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, thumbs up will be awesome, and a sub to the channel will be amazing. So grab a cup of coffee, open Excel, and let's get started. We're here in Excel, and tip number one is to add commands to your quick access toolbar. Depending on your version of Excel, the quick access toolbar might be here on the top, or in my version, it's down here below, and I prefer it here. The way to do that is just pick your favorite command. So let's say I'm at the Home tab, and the first thing I want to be able to do is I want to be able to format as accounting style or comma style. They change it. Right-click, and you have this Add to Quick Access toolbar. The next thing I want to do is want to be able to reduce the number of digits after the decimal point. Next thing I want to have is, let's say, the Format Painter. I use this a lot. If you go to the Formulas tab, I really use the Trace Precedents and Trace Dependents all the time, so I add those, and you see how it works. You just go ahead, look through all the tabs and all the functions that you use, and the most common ones, you can add them here. Another thing that we can do is if we right-click on the Quick Access toolbar and we select Customize, apart from popular commands, we can go into All Commands, press S. I want to have the Save command. I know you can use Control S, but click Add to add it here and move it like that. So now my first will be Save, comma, decrease decimal points, Format Painter, Trace Precedents, Trace Dependents, and anything else that I might add later on. Click OK, and you see it here. This brings me to the second tip, which is to use the Alt key to locate shortcuts. So if you press the Alt key, you see that all the tabs here have their own letter. You don't have to hold it pressed. So let's say if you want to go to the Home tab, I'll tap H, and then all commands will be here. The best part is that once you start using it, you tend to pretty quickly remember the most common ones that you use, and you don't even need to look at the menus anymore. Tip number 3 is to always split data into different sheets or tabs or whatever you want to call them. Let's say I have here one tab that's for other payables, then I have other receivables in a separate tab, intercompany receivables. Keeps your files much more organized, and it's much easier to find what you're looking for, especially if you add a table of contents in the beginning. Tip number 4, a lot of times we have tabs that have some inputs that we don't want the user to mess around with. Let's say the Scenarios tab here, those are just inputs, and I don't want people to see it, so I can right-click and hide it. It's still there, all the other tabs can still pull from it, so everything works, but it's just not visible. Of course, a user can right-click, press Unhide, find it, and unhide it, but the main idea is that as long as it's not there in the beginning, the user should know that it's not something they should mess with. Okay, the next tip is, let's say this is a budget file and I have this summary of my budget, and let's say I want to print it in PDF. So I can press Control P, and you see that it's way messed up in the preview here. So what we can do is we can go to the View tab and switch the workbook views to Page Break Preview. And this is going to show us how it's split into pages. So you see this is page 1. Then we have page 2, but you see here on the side that we have page 4. What we need to do is we can grab that dashed line here and just move it over to the end of the print area. And you can see that this is now page 1, but it cuts all the way through here to start page 2. So I want to grab that and I want to place it over the balance sheet. So I want page 1 to be this thing. I want page 2 to be my balance sheet. And I want page 3, grabbing this divider here and moving it all the way up above cash flow statement. So now I have 3 pages. One will be my income statement, my balance sheet, and my cash flow statement. Another thing when we're preparing to print our files is to add headers and footers. Go to the Insert tab, and here in the text group we have header and footer. So this immediately makes our file look like a Word document with all the pages. So you can add a header and just say summary budget. If we go to the header and footer tab that we have here, we can add a page number, and we can then press space, dash, space, and number of pages, which is going to show us like 1 out of 3. We can also add in the current date, so we know when it was printed. And the best part is that once we click outside, this is replicated everywhere, and it's gonna be on all our pages. Okay, tip number 7. Most of the times you would want to print that as PDF and send it over email. We can right-click on our quick access toolbar, go to all commands, just look for email as PDF attachment, and add it here. Click OK. Let's go back to a normal view. So we have in the View tab, we were at Page Break. We edited the headers at Page Layout. And if we go back to normal, this is our like regular working view. If we press this email as PDF attachment, it would automatically convert it into PDF and attach it to an empty email. Now keep in mind, if you have printable areas set up for all the tabs, all of them will be included in here. Tip number 8. A lot of times you want to attach a screenshot in your file, be it like an email approval or price list off of a website or something similar. Pretty simple to do. So let's say we have an email for a budget approval. You can go ahead, take a screenshot with the snipping tool, save it somewhere, then go in your Excel file, go to the Insert tab, go to Pictures from this device and attach the picture. But there's actually a much faster way that I honestly never saw before. If you just go wherever you want to place your email and you have your email open, just go to Screenshot and it shows you all the available windows. So I can just select the budget approval message and it's instantly attached as a screenshot in my file and it's going to stay in here. Tip number 9 is to use the Excel camera tool, and it's a tool that's not anywhere on the ribbon. So we have to customize our quick access toolbar again, go to all commands and just look for camera, add it. Let's remove this screenshot. What it allows you to do is to have dynamic pre-made screenshots. So let's say I want to be able to easily share the income statement. So I can make a selection of what I want to share, hit the camera tool, and then just place it somewhere. And this is going to be an image that's on the site, which I can copy and paste to an email or to a Word document or something like that. But it's going to be updated anytime something here is updated. So let's say I want to rename this to sales only, and it's instantly updated in the image, and I can copy paste it again. Tip number 10 is to use custom formats when formatting your cells. Let's say you're adding like column headers for different years. You can have 2021. Let's format it the same way with our format painter. So you can have 2021, and after that you can just open format cells with Control-1, go to custom, leave it at general so it doesn't put any like 1000 separators or anything, and just say calendar year before that. So now it's formatted as text, but it's a number and you can still use it in formulas. The other thing that's pretty neat in this situation is that instead of writing 2022 and so on, you can just make the next one equal this one plus 1. And right now, Excel actually grabbed part of the formatting, so it didn't grab the colors, but it figured out the number formatting should be the same. But we can just format painter, grab that, and then when we copy that with Control-C and Control-V, it's gonna auto increment. And the best part is that next year or whenever we can just start from 2022 and everything is auto updated. Tip number 11 is to use filters. I have the sales breakdown here for my budget and it's quite long. So if I want to dive deeper and look for specific things, what I can do is I can select this whole table. So select the first cell and then hold Control, Shift, and right arrow to go all the way to the right. And while I'm still holding Control and Shift, the down arrow to go all the way to the last row. So that way I have the whole table selected. And what I can do now is go to Data and enable Filter. Or let me go back, I can just press Alt, A for Data, and T for Filter. And here it is. You get those little drop downs that you can use to filter your data. One of the most common ways to use this is, let's say I want to look at intercompany clients only. So I can press the drop down and just remove blanks, get only the X. And now I only see the client that's an intercompany and I can look at those sales. To go back, we can either clear filter or just select blanks again or just select all. And we get all the data again. Another really useful thing is that if you see here, someone went and marked some of the lines with yellow. So those are lines that, let's say the sales manager needs me to check again. What we can do is we can actually filter by color. You can just grab on any column pretty much and just say filter by color. And I only get those that I have to look through. Let's clear the filter. We can also filter by numbers. So we can filter the sales, for example. Let's say we only want to look at sales above 1 million. So filter number filters and we can use greater than. There's a lot more that you can look through here, but let's use greater than. And I want it to be greater than 1 million. Now we're only looking at sales that are above 1 million. Tip number 12 is grouping of columns or rows. A lot of times you might have some data that you need, but you don't want it to be in an export or when you print to PDF or when you take a screenshot. So what you can do is you can group columns and it makes it much easier to hide them. You have the regular hiding, which let's say I don't want those two to be part of the print. You can just right click and hide them. But it's often quite hard to notice that something is hidden. So you have to see that you have two lines here, that some of the letters are skipped. You have to select, unhide, and you're not sure what you're unhiding and what's happening. And you can do the same thing with rows. You can also group things. So let's say I want those two to be optional. I can just select the three columns, go to the Data tab and use Group. And I get this at the top here, which allows me to collapse and expand the whole thing. And I use that a lot. If you go to the Budget tab, you can just expand the income statement, look through it, and once I'm done and I want to move to something else, I can just collapse it, and it's much easier to find things in the files that way. Tip number 13 is to auto-adjust rows or columns. What I mean is, let's say one of the columns is smaller and some of the numbers are not visible. You can grab it and expand it, but it's much easier to just double click between the two columns and it auto expands in order for everything to be visible. And it's the same with rows. If it's too small and you can't see, you just double tap between the two and it auto expands it so that everything is visible. Tip number 14 is to use conditional formatting, and conditional formatting is a whole topic on its own, but there are a few options in it that you can easily apply. I have my sales budget here and I just want to have some visual representation of how much we're making from each client. So what we can do is go to the Home tab, Conditional Formatting, and we can use data bars and fill with gradient or solid. And you see a preview as you hover over them. Pick a gradient. In this specific situation, there are vastly different numbers, so it doesn't help a lot. But when you have more rows with closer numbers, it's much easier to visualize where the bigger ones are. And what it does is, so the largest number is a full bar and the lowest number is the smallest bar possible. Another feature is using icons. Let's say I want to make sure that each of those clients have their agreement renewed. The easiest thing to do is to track this with like ones and zeros here on the side. I know yes and no would be much easier, but if we use ones and zeros, we can then grab the whole selection, go to the Home tab, Conditional formatting, icon sets, and just pick indicators if it's okay or not, and those would automatically get those icons. Now we can see that if we go here and let's say we renew our agreement with Yaddle, you can just press 1 here and it's gonna add the icon. If I expand this, you see that you get the icon and the number. And if you want to just show the icon, you can select, go to Conditional formatting, go to Manage Rules. If you've selected the area, it's going to be under Current Selection, or you can just go to this worksheet and it's going to show you also the data bar. Grab the icon set, press Edit Rule, and just check here, Show Icon Only. And tip number 15 is to freeze the panes to show headers at all times. Let's say on my summary here, I want to make sure that I always see this portion at the top. So what I can do is I can freeze this pane. And to do so, you can go to the View tab and use this Freeze Panes. And there are 3 options. I never use the bottom 2. This just freezes the top row and this just freezes the first column. I always use this one, and what it does is wherever your selection is, everything above it and everything to the left of it will remain frozen, so it wouldn't be affected by scrolling. In this particular case, I want to just have those rows frozen, so I'm going to go to A7, freeze panes, and now as I scroll down, my header is on top. And in tip number 6, when we were looking at how this would look if we print it with the headers and footers, we noticed that those rows repeat on every page when I'm printing. So if I press Ctrl P here in the print preview, you see that those rows appear all the time. And that's pretty easy to do. Go to Page Layout and to Print Titles. And you see that here you have on the Sheet tab, rows to repeat at top, and I have 1 through 6 selected. And that's why every page would always start with those 6 rows. Time for a few bonus tips. Let's say we are here, we're looking at the early payment bonuses, we have a selection. There's something really cool, and that's called the summary statistics. So every time you have more than 2 cells selected, you get summary statistics down here. So you can see, let's say, the average value, the count, the total. And if you right click, you can add different additional things. Let's say you want to have the maximum amount, want to have the minimum amount, and it's going to show us those here as well in the summary statistics. Pretty easy, especially let's say you want to quickly check a total or what's the average, or if you have selected the right number of items. Let's say I want to select 10 items, I can always look here and see that there are 10. Another bonus tip is that a lot of files tend to have quite a lot of sheets, and it's kind of hard to look through them here horizontally, especially if you have to go to the sides. What you can do is right click here and you'll see all sheets. Just pick the one you want, double click it or press OK, and it's going to take you to this sheet. Another quick tip is to multi-select sheets and edit at the same time. Let's say I realized at some point that the company name was wrong. The good thing is that I have that at the same place in all sheets, so I can press Ctrl and select multiple sheets. Then if I add it here and let's say Minty Analyst Ltd, it's going to be the same on all the sheets that I have selected. And the way to cancel the selection and stop editing multiple sheets is to go on another sheet. There you have it, 15 tips and tricks on how to get better with Excel. Thank you guys for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and maybe even punch the bell icon to receive notifications every time I upload a new video. Till then, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.